everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel. I am here today on Friday, May 14th with my second Stitch Mania update. Since my last video, I worked on 2 charts that I had started last week, and then I also had 1 new start, and I also had a knitting finish which I'm wearing, which I will talk about a little after I talk about cross stitch. So after my last video, I decided I would keep working on the Alice in Wonderland stitch along from Owl Forest Embroidery. It is a free stitch along that you can find on their website if you would also like to stitch it. And here is where I was in my last video. And here's where I am now. So last week when I made my last video, only part 1 was out. And then it was the next day on Friday when part 2 came out, and so I started part 2. And I still need to finish it by doing, there are some of these roses up here that are going to be red, and then there's also a heart border that's going to go along the top. So I need to finish that, and then I will be finished with part 2, and then part 3 comes out on Friday, I think, next Friday. I am stitching this on 18 count fabric that I dyed myself, and I'm using sulky thread 1/1 because sulky is thicker than DMC floss, so you get pretty good coverage with only 1 strand of it. The only color that I am not using sulky on is there's 2. So I ended up not using sulky for these red hearts. I found this Karen Water Lilies thread that I had left over from when I stitched Alice by Myerasalome, and it's in the color Cherry, and I figured it would be perfect for these red hearts. And it would also be a way to use this because I kind of want to get this out of my stash of floss because it's not a full amount, so I don't really know what to do with it. And then I also ended up using, for the ecru color, you need ecru, and I decided I would use, this is some of the natural silk that was left over from when I did Castles in the Air by Long Dog Samplers. And so I decided I would use that instead of buying something else. So there is Alice. Move that out of the way. And then the next chart that I worked on was Myerasalome by Nene Thomas. And here is where it was in my last video. And here is where it is now. I am stitching this on 27 count Linda 2/1 10th stitch, which is basically a half stitch. And I filled in a lot of this tree here to try and make it look like something. And then I also have been working on the sky to get that filled in because I really want to work on this area here. Right here is like the black part of like the hat thing that's on her head. And so if I like move down a little bit more, I'll be able to stitch her hair and then her face, which I want to get to. So yeah. There was that, and I have loved working on this chart so far. Her charts do work in Pattern Keeper if you were wondering, because like I said, sometimes you don't always know which charts are going to work in Pattern Keeper if they're not like a Haid or Charting Creations chart. So then on Mother's Day, I decided I was going to have 1 new start, and I ended up starting Snow Cherries by Maxine Gadd, and I worked on it for like 3 days, but I don't feel like I made that much progress. So here's where I got to on Snow Cherries. I started in the middle of the top row, and I am stitching this on 27 count Linda 2/1 10th stitch. And I feel like this is such a boring chart right now because it's just all gray. So this part is like the top of like her little like icicle crown thing that she's wearing, but it's just going to be like all grays and whites, and those are not that fun to stitch, like white stitches on white fabric, so I'm not really looking forward to that. And it kind of slowed me down in my stitching because it was kind of like not that fun to stitch. So there was that, and that was my only new start. And then we will talk a little bit, very small amount, about knitting. So I made the Soldatna crop from Caitlin Hunter. It was my first time doing color work, and that was kind of scary because I had never obviously done color work. I didn't start knitting that long ago, so I'm kind of like new to everything, and I kind of had to like YouTube video for just like everything. I was just like, how do I do this? YouTube, holding the knitting in my hand, just like, what are they doing? But yeah, so I made it. I used Knit Picks Hawthorn in the color Rockaway. I used So Livy Dyes Yarn Succulent, and then I also used So Livy Dyes Yarn. This was the, I think, March color of the month for Laura Olympus. And yes, I made it. It's a thing. I can wear it. I made it like very cropped so that I could wear it with like high-waisted skirts, which I am doing now. Here you go. Skirt has pockets. I never want to wear pants again because pants have useless pockets, and this has ginormous pockets. So there was that, and that was my knitting. I need to start a new knitting project because for knitting, I'm actually doing very good at only having one project at a time. Cross stitch, it's all over the place. Knitting, I'm like, I can only focus on one thing because I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, I need to start a new knitting project. I'm excited. And then for this week coming up, I think I'm going to be starting 2 cross stitch charts for Stitch Mania. My plans this week are to start Game Boy Zelda from, I bought it on Cross Stitch Salon. Her Etsy shop is actually now Needle Minder Lair, but she doesn't sell the Game Boy charts anymore. And then I also want to start Crystal Palace, I think that's the name of the chart, from, what's her store? Mandarin's Design on Etsy, I think. And so yeah, those are my plans for the week. I think that is it. I'm going to go. My voice is kind of like not great today because I had a cold over the last week. I'm getting better. It's fine. It's great. And so yeah, it's just kind of hard to talk. So I will go. I hope everyone has had a great week and a great stitchy week. And I hope you've all been doing well. So I will see everyone in my next video. Bye.